Number 10. Austin Mahone. Once considered the next big thing in the 2010s, Austin Mahone was set to follow in Justin Bieber's footsteps and become a teen idol himself. But after years of hype, his music career never really took off. The singer started out by posting various covers of pop songs on YouTube in 2010, including Justin Bieber's Mistletoe, which catapulted his rise to fame. But right away, Austin made it clear that he did not appreciate the comparison, saying, "They see a young kid who sings and dances, they're like, oh, another Justin Bieber. Like, you don't even know, you don't know me, you don't know my music, you're just making assumptions." But fast forward to 2022 and Austin Mahone is nowhere to be seen in the music industry. So what gives? Well, in short, he had a falling out with his label due to poor sales of his album and had to restart his career somewhere else as an independent musician, which didn't really work out well either. In 2020, Austin made a questionable career move when he made an OnlyFans and reportedly auctioned a 10-minute video of him during alone time, which sold for $9,000. Hey, you never know, maybe he got desperate. But all in all, it's likely that the world just didn't feel like they needed another Justin Bieber. Number 9. Macklemore. When he stepped into the music scene 10 years ago, he was seen as unstoppable. Alongside his longtime producing partner Ryan Lewis, Macklemore captured the entire world's attention with his debut studio album The Heist. With record-breaking hits like Thrift Shop, Same Love, and Can't Hold Us, he firmly established himself as a socially conscious rapper and achieved big-time stardom. But in recent years, the hype around him has really fizzled out. This is in part due to Ryan Lewis's departure, because he was a critical part of Macklemore's early success. In 2017, the duo announced that they were splitting up and needed creative space from each other. Although there were no hard feelings, it's pretty obvious that Ryan's exit really impacted the quality of Macklemore's work, and there was definitely a shift in how his music was perceived by the public. But there were also some enormous changes that took place in Macklemore's personal life, because he's now a father of 3. Not only that, but he's more focused now on his charity work and community activism. So while many people seem to think that he's fallen off the face of the earth entirely, he's actually just turning his focus onto other endeavors. Number 8. Mischa Barton. In the early 2000s, she was one of the hottest stars on the Hollywood scene. Thanks to the success of the Fox teen drama The OC, the young actress was instantly thrust into the spotlight when she was just 17 years old. But after leaving the hit show in 2006, Mischa became a tabloid target and struggled to recapture her previous level of acting success. It really all happened after she was involved in several unfortunate incidents in 2007, including a hospitalization and a DUI arrest. Over the next few years, the paparazzi continued to hound her as she gained unwanted attention for things like a trip to the psych ward, a failed TV comeback, and even her fluctuating weight. She really tried to turn it around in 2019 by joining the cast of The Hills: New Beginnings, with most of the cast from the original reality series, including Heidi Montag, Spencer Pratt, Brody Jenner, and Audrina Patridge. But unfortunately, Mischa was not invited back for season 2 because, according to Brody, the actress didn't fit in with the rest of the cast. He said, "Bringing Mischa on to begin with was sort of awkward. It's a little bit upsetting because she has been planning a career comeback for more than a decade now, but she just hasn't been able to crack it." Number 7. Zooey Deschanel. Best known for 500 Days of Summer as well as the hit Fox series New Girl, Zooey was a huge star during the high points of her career. But after New Girl came to an end in 2018, her acting career has slowed down considerably. In fact, she's been largely absent from our screens over the past couple of years and doesn't seem to have any major roles lined up. So what happened? Well, as we know, from 2011 to 2018, Zooey played Jess, a sweet, quirky teacher who moves in with 3 strangers in Los Angeles after a terrible breakup. And although the role landed her an Emmy and Golden Globe nominations, it also pigeonholed her as a performer and made her harder to cast in roles that differed too drastically from Jess. So between New Girl and 500 Days of Summer, the fact is that many of Zooey's characters fit the definition of the manic pixie dream girl, which is a term describing those quirky female characters with a Disney princess mindset who only exist to give the male lead a new lease on life. So when people started criticizing that character trope in Hollywood, Zooey received a lot of backlash for almost exclusively taking those roles. And now that it's not as popular as it used to be, studio heads are way more hesitant to cast her.
Number 4. Sharon Osbourne. 2 years ago, on the popular talk show The Talk, host Cheryl Underwood and Sharon Osbourne began to discuss the topic of racism amongst the recent firing of Sharon's personal friend Piers Morgan from Good Morning Britain over a series of comments that he made towards the former Duchess of Sussex. Sharon went off and began aggressively defending her friend, asking Cheryl what Piers said that made him a racist, and then she went on to say that she was being put in an electric chair, and due to her connection to Piers that she herself must be a racist. She went on to clarify that she did not support his comments per se, but she did support his right to free speech. But he used that speech to say bad things, so maybe we don't support that? She then asked Cheryl over and over again how she could be racist. What did she do? What did she say? Cheryl then signed off for a commercial break before Sharon let out some choice words. And when they returned, the tension almost seemed worse, and the conversation just continued to escalate. Eventually, Underwood was able to get her point across and calm Sharon down, but the moment was put on air and Sharon was immediately cancelled. Her fans collectively cringed at the comments and begged that the studio would fire her from the show, which of course they did. Number 3. Roseanne Barr. In the late 80s, Roseanne starred in a sitcom titled after herself, and she starred alongside Hollywood heavyweight John Goodman in a series that followed the couple's everyday lives as a working-class family. The show aired for about 230 episodes and eventually got cancelled in the mid-90s, but it was revived in 2018 as the same wholesome content just for a new generation. But unfortunately for Roseanne, sitcom producers have Twitter, or X as it's called now. I don't know. Her show was quickly cancelled over a few hours after Barr posted a tweet about Valerie Jarrett telling the world that she was the product of Planet of the Apes and a certain brotherhood having a baby. She later apologized for the tweets, but the damage was done. ABC Entertainment President Channing Dungey said in a statement that Roseanne's Twitter posts were abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with their values. Again, values. These people really love their values at the studios. Barr actually defended her tweets, saying that they were not racist, but they were in fact a joke. Hey Rosie, those can be the same thing, doesn't make it any better. In this instance, if she had just kept her comments to herself, she might have been okay, but the internet is instant and forever, so bye Rosie! Number 2. Milli Vanilli. In 1989, German-French dance pop group Milli Vanilli was on top of the world. The band had released its North American debut album, Girl You Know It's True, which climbed the Billboard charts and went 6 times platinum. The success also earned the group its first Grammy Award nomination and win for Best New Artists the following year. However, one Connecticut concert was all it took to shatter the phenomenon of Milli Vanilli. The same year, the group were set to record live on MTV at Lake Compens, a venue filled with 20,000 fans. As the group took to the stage to perform its seminal hit Girl You Know It's True, there was an issue with a hard drive that caused the backing tracks to skip, jump, and repeat, exposing that Milli Vanilli had actually been lip-syncing the song. The moment shook fans and was the exact instant that cancelled their careers for good. In fact, their music producer Frank Farian admitted that Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus never sang on their records ever. This, of course, caused the Grammys to revoke the award that the group had just won, while the crew tried to start a new career under a new name. Ultimately, that failed. And at number 1, Kanye West. Kanye West was a billionaire for a brief period in his life following his successful ventures in both fashion and music. At the start of 2019, he had a baby, he was happily married to Kim Kardashian, and he was about to drop some of the most racially fueled and homophobic tweets ever released into the world. Now, I'm not allowed to quote anything that he said because this video would get removed from the internet. We wouldn't want that, would we? Just to sum it up, his tweets were just to sum it up, everything he said was horrible. Okay, just leave it at that. His tweets were just the beginning, as the aftermath would lead him to losing his fortune, his family, and his career. With just a few clicks of a keyboard, Kanye started the domino effect of his own demise. Any and all clothing brands created by Kanye, including his shoes Yeezys, were removed from shelves. Kanye's sponsorship from Adidas went to the toilet as they wanted nothing to do with the most controversial man in the world. His wife Kim had already filed for a divorce, but she had then gone public with her relationship to SNL alumni Pete Davidson in, which just must have felt like extra squeeze of lemon juice right into his open heart.
Number 6. Mike Myers. His name is synonymous with the hilarious and charismatic character Austin Powers. However, the actor is reportedly very difficult to work with in real life, which meant that he eventually found it quite difficult to keep starring in major films. There have been numerous reports suggesting that Myers is a nightmare on set, with some even claiming him to be a control freak and just outright grumpy. It has come to light that the actor makes tons of demands of his assistants. In fact, Myers reportedly made life a daily nightmare for the cast and crew of one of his biggest films. According to Amy Hill, who was his co-star in The Cat in the Hat, she said it was a horrible, nightmarish experience. Hill claimed that he selfishly kept everyone waiting for hours, overruled the director, and even had someone standing by just holding his personal chocolates in a dish. Quote, "It was so weird, it was just the worst, I was miserable." Another story involves a fan that offered to buy the actor a drink. After telling Myers how much he enjoyed his work, Myers allegedly just looked at him and said, "I can afford my own drinks," cursed at him and said, "Save your money for my next movie." Apart from being notoriously difficult to work with, his mean-spirited attitude towards regular people have shrunk his fan base down to a fraction of what it used to be. Number 5. Jamie Lynn Spears. People have started referring to Jamie Lynn as the Britney Spears from Wish, and it's easy to see why. They've labeled her as a knockoff to her pop star sister. Jamie Lynn started her career in film and television as a child, mostly playing the younger version of Britney's characters. But she didn't receive star status until landing the lead role as Zoe Brooks on the Nickelodeon show Zoe 101. And even when she was cast by its creator Dan Schneider, it was all because she looked a lot like her older sister. The boarding school set dramedy was a smash hit and cemented a young Jamie Lynn's acting career. But little did fans know there was actually a scandal brewing behind the set, as its star was just 16 when she fell pregnant, which would have been a bombshell for the very PG show. In her memoir, Things I Should Have Said, Jamie Lynn says her family and management pulled her out of school until they could figure out what to do next. And after the 4th season of Zoe 101, the network cancelled the series. Since then, her acting career has been on hiatus, and although she briefly tried to break through as a country star, Jamie Lynn has not been successful at rehabilitating her career since. Number 4. Tara Reid. There's no doubt that the American Pie star was one of Hollywood's it girls in the late 90s and early 2000s. She was gorgeous and totally fit the funny, pretty girl archetype in movies. Tara achieved real fame by playing Vicky in the hugely popular American Pie series, and she was also in Cruel Intentions, Van Wilder, and Scrubs. However, at the time of her blow up in Hollywood, she was seen partying more and more and became less credible. Eventually, the publicity of her clubbing lifestyle led to her show on E! Called Taradise, which ended up flopping and just made things a whole lot worse for her image. From that point on, Tara would unfortunately be in and out of rehab and had trouble maintaining sobriety. The actress was also going through various issues stemming from botched plastic surgery, claiming in 2004 that breast implants and liposuction surgeries left her with disfigurements that damaged her career. She told Us Weekly, "My stomach became the most ripply, bulgy thing. I had a hernia, this huge bump next to my belly button. As a result, I couldn't wear a bikini. I lost a lot of work." She did, however, manage to nab a role in the comedy disaster film franchise Sharknado, but unfortunately, that reoccurring role wasn't enough to reboot her career. Number 3. Katherine Heigl. Television medical drama Grey's Anatomy catapulted Katherine Heigl into the limelight. The thing is, she had a reputation of being extremely unpleasant to work with on set, and after trashing her most popular movie ever, she lost a whole bunch of fans. I'm talking about 2007's Knocked Up. It was not just hilarious but very well received all round, scoring an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and bringing in $219 million at the box office against a $25 million budget. But Katherine was less than thrilled about her participation in the movie and called the film sexist, telling Vanity Fair in 2008 that she thought the movie paints women as shrews, as humorless and uptight, and it paints the men as lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys. She went on to say that she had a hard time with the film on some days because she said that her character was a B-word and a killjoy. Not only that, but Heigl's bad reputation stems largely from her decision to decline a second Emmy nomination for Grey's Anatomy in 2008. She released a wince-inducing public statement that claims she simply wasn't given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination. To Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Number 2, Azealia Banks. With tongue-twisting lyricism, Azalea's debut single 212 is definitely one for the books. Pitchfork called it the 6th best song of the 2010s, and Billboard said it defined a decade. In fact, Rolling Stone placed it on the list of the 500 greatest songs ever made. The track was supposed to set her up for world domination, but these days it's hard to think of any artist that has been marred in such controversy as Azealia. Her social media presence has created scandal after scandal, and the list of people she has feuded with is so extensive that it has its own section on Wikipedia. Her celebrity beef is super random and impossible to keep track of. For instance, she went on a huge rant on her Instagram story last year, insulting Doja Cat's looks and her music, saying, "Doja makes music for 10-year-olds and is very derivative. Cute girl, but her attempts at witty East Coast Roman reloaded flows are pitiful and not in the least amusing. And yes, she looked terrible before she lost weight." And in 2018, she accused Elon Musk of investment fraud and called him a beta male who took steroids and got hair plugs to convince himself that he was an alpha. She still occasionally makes attempts to collaborate with other artists, but at this stage it would be difficult to find anyone that would still work with her. And coming in at number 1, Hayden Christensen. He was just 19 years old when he was cast as Anakin Skywalker, the man who would evolve into Darth Vader in the Star Wars prequel trilogy. It was set to be the role of a lifetime, and somehow, despite having limited leading man experience, Hayden was handpicked for the role out of a pool of more than 1,500 candidates. But unfortunately for the young actor, the prequels garnered overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics and fans alike. In reviews, his performance was referred to as unpolished, timid, and stiff, and many people just called him a straight-up bad actor. So instead of setting Hayden on a path for more high-profile film roles, the backlash that the prequels received led the Canadian actor to fade into obscurity. But it was also a choice that he made for himself at the time, telling the Los Angeles Times, "I guess I felt like I had this great thing in Star Wars that provided all these opportunities and gave me a career, but it all kind of felt a little too handed to me. I didn't want to go through life feeling like I was just riding a wave," which is actually quite sad when you think about it. But he does seem content now with less prominent roles and actually seems to prefer life outside of the spotlight. Number 10, Zac Efron. The High School Musical star really shocked fans with how different he looked in 2021, when a video surfaced online of his face looking extremely altered. When Zac appeared on camera for a virtual Earth Day event, everyone was totally distracted by his new appearance. Not only did he no longer have his iconic baby face look, but some people suggested that he had an altered jawline and enhanced lips, and suspected that he'd had, at the very least, some Botox done. It's true that he looked a little bit puffy or possibly swollen, but of course, camera angles, makeup, and poor lighting also could have contributed to the drastically different appearance. When the video started making the rounds on social media, popular TikTok surgeon Dr. Yun suggested that Zac might have gotten oral surgery, which would explain his swollen jaw, which would happen if your wisdom teeth were taken out, or you had some kind of other intensive dental surgery. But fans were not happy about the doctor's comments and accused him of trying to capitalize on Zac's popularity to gain attention. Although he does look different now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The actor went on both The Ellen Show and Jimmy Kimmel Live recently and just looked a whole lot more mature. In fact, he seemed to have really grown into his features in the best way possible. Number 9, Khloe Kardashian. The Keeping Up with the Kardashians star is known for being the funniest and most laid back of all the sisters. But over the years, fans have seen such a drastic change in her appearance that it can only be put down to excessive plastic surgery. And while the reality star isn't too outspoken when it comes to her past procedures, she has opened up once before about the reason behind her choice to go under the knife. Quote, "For me, everyone says, oh my gosh, she's had her 3rd face transplant, but I've only had 1 nose job and everyone gets so upset. Like, why don't I talk about it? No one's ever asked me." She also revealed that she has done injections, but not really Botox, because when she tried it, her face responded horribly. But all the surgery was probably because of something deeper. In fact, later in the episode, Khloe explained how she experienced body image insecurity when doing photo shoots with her sisters, saying, "They would receive racks and racks of clothes, and I was told by so many different stylists I was given about 2 or 3 pieces of clothing, but not to worry because I would be in the background anyway," which is pretty unfortunate because being treated like that would upset just about anybody.
Number 10, Brenda Song. London Tipton was the daughter of the man behind the chain of Tipton Hotels in the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Brenda Song accepted the role right as she was about to start college. Little did she know that that character would consume her life for the next 6 years. She appeared as London on both Zack and Cody, and its reboot sequel series, Sweet Life on Deck, for a total of 6 seasons. Following the show's cancellation in 2011, Brenda starred in a few smaller roles in films like The Social Network, as well as TV roles in shows like Scandal, New Girl, and Superstore. Brenda is still active in the acting community, just in a smaller capacity, as she's traded in her Disney fame for family fortune, starting a family with her boyfriend and fellow child star Macaulay Culkin. Dude, Richie Rich and London Tipton have a child together, and that's not a TV show? Brenda is slowly making her return to the mainstream, however, as she's recently starred in a few Netflix and Hulu series, including the comedy series Dollface, where Brenda claims to have rediscovered her passion for acting. Here's hoping it inspires Disney to make another Wendy Wu movie. And if you don't know Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior, well, that's fair. Number 9. Shia LaBeouf. Shia has been a controversial celebrity over the years, becoming famous as one of the hardest people to work with in Hollywood history. Like many bad apples in LA, Shia got his start on the Disney Channel. At the turn of the century, Disney released a little show called The Even Stevens. The series followed the titular Stevens family with a focus on the kids, Ren and Louis, played by Christy Romano and Shia LaBeouf. The show is considered to be one of Disney's best, spanning 3 seasons and spawning an Even Stevens movie that is one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever released. These days, Shia has adopted a more mountain man look, always sprouting like a big bushy beard when he can, and he's gone from bright and youthful to just tired and annoyed. And we feel that, Shia. We really feel that. Following the show's end, Shia kept his acting career going strong, appearing in the much-loved classic Holes as main character Stanley Yelnats, but it wasn't until his casting in the live-action Transformers series that he really began to descend into madness. Since 2007, Shia's behavior as both an actor and a person have been getting worse and worse. His fellow actors have reported that Shia takes method acting way too far and just smells terrible on set, not to mention the several public art displays that he gifted the world in the mid-2010s. Oh, and who could forget his passionate motivational video where he just told us that nothing was impossible and just do it! While he may still be working today, his reputation as a celebrity has certainly shifted from A-list to the no-thank-you list. Number 8. Ashley Tisdale. Ashley was making a big name for herself in the Disney world after starring as Candy Girl Maddie on the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Her character is considered to be one of the main reasons that show worked in the first place, so it was surprising to see her suddenly vanish from the acting world in the early 2010s, following the end of the High School Musical trilogy as well as her time with the Sweet Life crew. After leaving Disney briefly to film a few raunchy comedies, including the 5th entry in the Scary Movie franchise, she disappeared and fans were confused. Where's Sharpay? Well, turns out she decided to focus on her personal life, and she tied the knot with musician Christopher French in 2014. After building a solid foundation in her relationship, she shifted her focus to a different style of art in the form of cosmetics. Ashley launched the brand Illuminate Cosmetics, as well as a wellness blog called French, which led to her personal care brand called Being French. While she may have lost her name in the Disney sense, she's rebuilt a solid career for herself in other aspects and is actually set to make a small return to the acting world in a new series for CBS called Brutally Honest, loosely based on Ashley's own life. Well, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, I am watching that show for sure. Number 7. Orlando Brown. That's So Raven. Another series considered to be a part of the golden years, aka the early 2000s of Disney, starred Raven Simone as the titular character, who has the ability to briefly see into the future via unprompted visions. I swear, every time I explain a plot to an old Disney show, I just question like, why did I like this? Who pitched this? The show had a stellar supporting cast, including Raven's best friend Chelsea and Eddie, played by Annalise Vanderpool and Orlando Brown. Orlando's time as Eddie was received well with audiences, and he quickly became a fan favorite for not only his comedic abilities, but his dramatic ability as well. After Raven wrapped up its final season, Orlando's career took a bit of a turn. Surprisingly, he was being casted as small side characters or secondary characters with minimum screen time in film and TV. In 2022, he appeared on Dr. Phil's talk show, opened up about his struggles mentally and financially. He also shocked audiences with his new look. He was drenched in tattoos and sporting a pair of demon eye contacts. Unfortunately, it seems that Orlando has fallen victim to the darker side of Disney, as he was arrested for a misdemeanor after an altercation with his brother. Number 6. Mitchell Musso. Mitch played Hannah Montana's best friend Oliver Oaken on the hit Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. When the show was coming to an end, he began dominating the Disney scene, being casted to voice Jeremy in Phineas and Ferb, playing one of the titular kings in the show Pair of Kings, and he was in something called Hatching Pete, which I vaguely remember watching, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those movies that I have like a repressed memory for. He seemed to be on the same track as Demi Lovato as the next big thing to come from Disney. People think that about Demi Lovato, right? Unfortunately, his career came to a screeching halt in 2011 when he was arrested in Burbank, California. He neglected to slow down after being directed by police, and the report said that the moment the window was rolled down, it was like a cloud of no-no juice just drop-kicked him in the nostrils. He blew a BLA of 0.8, which for those of you who don't know means that he was absolutely hammy, bud. He was arrested, forced to participate in a no-no juice educational program, and charged with driving under the influence. Needless to say, that doesn't really go with Disney's vibe. He was recasted on Pair of Kings, his prank show was cancelled, and he was basically blacklisted from Disney entirely. He had also been attempting to start a music career, but that just nosedived into a toilet. If you'd like to find Mitchell these days, just download one of his old songs. You'll be the first one to do it in a while. I'm sure he'll find you. Number 5. Jake Paul. The headline here sounds like a Dr. Seuss title. Jake Paul looted them all. That's right, the famous YouTuber Jake Paul was briefly a Disney star in the early 2010s, appearing on a short-lived sitcom called Bizaardvarks. In 2020, Paul was involved in a looting that took place in Scottsdale, Arizona. A riot broke out in a mall, literally surrounded by police helicopters with lights and sirens, and Jake's reaction? Oh man, we gotta get the cameras, let's go! Video footage was released by Paul himself, showcasing the events of the night. People were smashing windows and taking everything in sight. While Paul posted a statement on Twitter claiming that he had nothing to do with the riots, and they were there exclusively as observers, the video did show Jake interviewing looters in the mall, and of course groups were recognizing him almost immediately. Thankfully, the authorities stepped in to make their move on Jake, who told his fans, "No cap, that's tear gas, bro." Yeah, how is that English? However, that was just the situation Disney needed to finally fire this guy. According to Disney, Jake's reckless public behavior was very well known to them at the time. There had been plans in place to simply address the issue and to learn from it, but following the events in Scottsdale, they had no choice but to just cut ties with the performer immediately. He was charged with criminal trespassing, and while Jake's videos may still rack up millions of views online, he's certainly no celebrity anymore. His defense for the Scottsdale event was that he was documenting it as a quote public service. Well, okay, if I videotape my friend stealing a Star Wars mug from a Hot Topic, is that also a public service? Number 4. Jennifer Stone. Another Wizards of Waverly Place co-star, Jennifer Stone is just another one of those people to lose their fame overnight, but it wasn't due to anything outlandish. Jennifer played the best friend to Selena Gomez's Alex Russo, Harper Finkel, on Wizards of Waverly Place. Harper was a bubbly and eccentric character, usually wearing some kind of elaborate dress made from something that just shouldn't be a dress. She played the role so well that the writers decided to make her and Alex live together in the later seasons to give Stone as much screen time as possible. Following the cancellation of the show, she was swooped up by another channel that I'm apparently not supposed to say the name of, but it rhymes with Clickelodeon, and was casted as the babysitter slash narrator on the show Dead Time Stories. Good old-fashioned horror shows aimed at kids. Huh? Yeah. Are you afraid of the dark, anybody? Huh? Unfortunately, that show seemed to be her last, as following the final season, she's remained fairly aloof from the public eye, appearing in small budget flicks, but she mostly stays at home and takes care of her mental and physical health. Jennifer was diagnosed with diabetes in 2017 and has been participating in public outreach programs ever since. You go, Finkel! Number 3. Ricky Ullman. He was Phil of the future, keeping it together just as best as we can. Sorry, that show had the catchiest theme song of all time. You may recognize Ricky as the face of the hit show Phil of the Future, following the titular Phil and his family struggling to adjust to the year 2000 after their time machine breaks down in the wrong destination. That's right, if you thought the DeLorean from Back to the Future was strange, these guys built their time machine into an RV. If you're gonna build a time machine, why not do it in style? The show was loved, but it was cut short after only 2 seasons on air, meaning that Ricky was just 19 when he was suddenly out of steady work. In an interview with Insider Magazine, he said that he regrets the way he handled the situation back then. The reality was Ricky didn't know how to navigate the world of Hollywood, as he got the role of Phil because he was pressured into attending an audition. He appeared in a few small projects following the show's cancellation, even making an appearance on the hit comedy series Broad City. But nowadays, Ricky just sits in a chair next to his phone waiting for that call to hopefully come. Reboot time, baby. Number 2. Christy Romano. Christy was Disney's go-to girl in the early 2000s, after breaking onto the scene starring as Ren Stevens in the legendary sitcom The Even Stevens. While she may have starred alongside future Transformers star and maniac Shia LaBeouf, it was Christy that stole the show. She played the character effortlessly for 3 seasons before being tapped to lend her voice to another Disney icon. Christy provided the voice of the animated super spy Kim Possible. Following the cancellation of that series in 2011, Romano actually used her new fortune to attend film school and study what goes on behind the scenes. Romano has remained outside the acting world since that time, apart from a starring role on Broadway as Belle in Beauty and the Beast in 2018. Her most recent venture is that of a YouTube blogger, now chronicling her day-to-day life as a mom. She may not be famous anymore, but she will certainly go down as one of the Disney Channel's greatest. And at number 1, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who actually never appeared in a sitcom or a TV series. She got her start acting at just the age of 3. Starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials from brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O, she got her big break when Disney casted her to play 2 roles in the classic family comedy Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly meet at a summer camp and discover their parents split them up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get mom and dad back together, and it's really just a delightful movie. Her career only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character, Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served only 84 minutes in jail. Yep, minutes. Some people spend years in jail for less, but Lindsay got a warning. Until 2022, her career was at an abrupt standstill, but she not only seems to be better mentally speaking, but she's also under a new contract with the streaming giant Netflix to release a few rom-com flicks over the next couple of years. So maybe her and Adam Sandler will make like a Netflix multiverse. I don't know how I feel about that. Those are the Disney celebrities that lost their fame. Are there any Disney darlings that we missed? Well, let us know in the comments below.
Number 8. Rebel Wilson. The Australian actress has been in comedy since the early 2000s, but her career really took off a decade later in movies like What to Expect When You're Expecting, Struck by Lightning, and of course, Pitch Perfect. She's always been a huge health and body positive advocate and has frequently opened up about her health journey. But the reason Rebel Wilson looks so drastically different in 2022 is that she has actually been working on her health and fitness since late 2019, and she has seen massive results. In a candid interview with the BBC, she talked about the differences in how she's being treated now. Quote, "Sometimes being bigger, people don't necessarily look twice at you. Now that I'm in good shape, people offer to carry my groceries to the car and hold doors open for you. And you think, is this what other people experience all the time?" So even though Rebel seems to be a lot happier now, she's also pointed out something that's really worth discussing. Her health journey has been a very public one, so it's great that the actress has decided not to hold back when talking about all the challenges that she's faced throughout. And she's certainly become an inspiration for others to make positive changes to their health. Number 7. Miley Cyrus. The 29-year-old singer and actress has lived so many lives already. She's been a Disney star, a country singer, then she moved to R&B for a while and back into pop. Miley has always been an eccentric performer. I mean, who can forget twerking against Robin Thicke at the MTV VMAs in 2013? But her whole style and aesthetic did a complete 180 somewhere around 2020 when she started embracing all things rock and roll. These days she looks completely unrecognizable with a platinum blonde mullet, metallic blue smoky eyeshadow, and a blue and white striped dress. She actually looks like an 80s rock star. The aesthetic change appears to be part of her newest musical era for her newest rock album, Plastic Hearts. It's still up for debate whether Miley is going for a more grunge or glam rock, but it's clear that she's chosen a whole nother genre for herself when it comes to not only style but music. After hearing her cover of Blondie's Heart of Glass, which was released as a single in late September, it became clear to so many that her voice is really suited to rock and roll. Alongside her cover of Zombie by the Cranberries and her own song Midnight Sky, it seems like she's really grown into her voice and found the perfect look for the genre. Number 6. Adele. Ever since her music blew up in the early 2010s, the powerhouse singer has released hit after hit. Her albums 21, 25, and 30 became instant successes, with all 3 topping number 1 on nearly every worldwide music chart. But fans were really shocked in 2020 when Adele made a post on social media that showed her completely transformed look. In fact, she joked about the change in her opening monologue for SNL, saying, "I know I look really different since you last saw me, but actually because of all the COVID restrictions, I had to travel light and I could only bring half of me, and this is the half I chose." The 34-year-old looks extremely happy these days, and she's recently opened up about the healthy lifestyle changes she made that helped her lose 100 pounds in 2 years. But she knows that plenty of negative comments have surfaced about her new look, and she told British Vogue, "My body has been objectified my entire career. It's not just now. I understand why it's a shock, I understand why some women especially were hurt. Visually, I represent a lot of women, but I'm still the same person. So it's clear that Adele is very much herself, just with a newfound confidence. Number 5. Kesha. The singer shocked fans when she debuted her glamorous and sophisticated new look at the Studio 666 premiere in Hollywood. The 34-year-old was truly unrecognizable with a dark, short bob and a plain black dress in a major style transformation from her party girl days. Kesha wore a plunging, lace-up, short, tight black leather dress that accentuated both her chest and her legs. Her brunette hair was slicked back with natural-looking makeup. The Grammy Award winner has been known to drastically alter her appearance through the years, but her new, almost bare-faced look was a complete flip from her usual bright, eccentric style with heavy makeup and her signature long, wavy blonde hair. So making the change from blonde to brunette and chopping her hair into a chin bob length made all the difference in the world. But aside from desperately waiting for Kesha to release new music, fans are also longing for the conclusion of her lengthy legal battle with her former producer Dr. Luke, which has been ongoing since 2014. The defamation lawsuit against her seems like it's gonna go on forever at this stage, and it has really kept her career in a kind of limbo. But it's clear that she's already planning some kind of a comeback with her new style. Number 4. Linda Evangelista. The Canadian fashion model was undoubtedly one of the top supermodels from the 1990s and is regarded as one of the most accomplished and influential models of all time. In fact, she's been featured on over 700 magazine covers, but Linda hasn't really been seen in public very much in the last 5 years or so, and fans recently found out why. In September last year, she took to Instagram and revealed that she had undergone cool sculpting treatment to her face, which she says left her unrecognizable, as it allegedly caused fat cells in her face to multiply. Quote, "To my followers who have wondered why I have not been working while my peers' careers have been thriving, the reason is that I was brutally disfigured." She went on to say that the procedure actually did the opposite of what it was promised. In fact, what happened to her was a rare but serious side effect of cool sculpting, and the model said the treatment not only destroyed her livelihood, but sent her into a cycle of deep depression, profound sadness, and the lowest depths of self-loathing, which is extremely sad when you consider just how much it would have affected her self-esteem. Number 3. Iggy Azalea. The Australian rapper made her US debut in 2014 with the release of her first album, The New Classic, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard rap chart. From her collaborations with some of our favorite pop princesses to her gorgeous curves, Iggy Azalea has consistently commanded headlines all over the globe. But recently, a lot of it has been plastic surgery rumors, considering how much her appearance has changed over the years. Confirming the suspicions, the Aussie hitmaker admitted that she has had rhinoplasty. She said, "I'm not denying it. Denying it is lame. I don't think you should be ashamed if you've made a change to yourself, which is why I've spoken about the changes I've made, like with my breasts." Iggy was always pretty straightforward about her decision to have surgery, saying, "Your perception of yourself can change a lot over time, so I think it's important to wait and make sure it's the right choice. Plastic surgery is an emotional journey. It's no easy feat to live with your flaws and accept yourself, and it's no easy feat to change yourself. Either way you look at it, it's a tough journey." Which is a great message to get out there, considering that there's still a lot of stigma behind just admitting to having done plastic surgery in the first place. Number 2. Sharon Osbourne. The former The Talk panelist is no stranger to plastic surgery, and it really seemed to work with her over the years, considering her appearance was never altered too drastically. But all that changed in late 2021 when she got a facelift that, in her own words, ended up making her look like a cyclops. Quote, "I had a full facelift done in October, and I looked like one of those effing mummies that they wrap with bandages." She told the Sunday Times that the whole thing hurt like hell, but what was even worse is that all the pain never really paid off for her. Sharon said that after the more than 5-hour surgery, she was left looking horrendous, and she even told the surgeon, quote, "You've got to be effing joking. One eye was different to the other. I looked like an effing cyclops. All I need is a hunchback." It sounds funny, but it would have been a nightmare for her. Even her husband, Ozzy Osbourne, was totally against the results. Fortunately, she was able to undergo reconstructive work, and she's now a lot more satisfied with her appearance. And coming in at number 1, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Of all the famous twins in Hollywood, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen are probably the most mysterious. The former child stars announced an abrupt and permanent retirement from acting more than 15 years ago, and ever since then they've kept a low profile. But the twins are still hard at work on their fashion line and other business endeavors. But when photos surfaced over the years of Mary-Kate looking drastically different from Ashley, fans began speculating that one or both sisters may have had plastic surgery. People were pretty rude when it came to targeting the appearance of both of them, with some outlets reporting that Ashley underwent a botched facelift and that Mary Kate looked a lot older. In fact, one plastic surgeon who spoke to Life and Style magazine insisted that the changes could have come from other factors, such as nicotine products or lifestyle changes. The sisters looked surprisingly similar when they were younger, which caused most people to assume that they were identical, but they're actually fraternal twins, which might help explain their physical differences now. The girls did have a brief chance to get back on the screens recently in the revival of their original show Fuller House, but they just weren't interested in participating, which seemed to disappoint a lot of fans.
Number 10. Drake Bell, Drake and Josh, a sitcom that gifted us with some incredible one-liners and caused anyone named Megan to have their lives changed forever. Drake Bell and Josh Peck starred as the titular Drake and Josh for 4 seasons before being cancelled in 2008. Following the cancellation, the 3 main cast members, they all went on to have steady work for a short while. Miranda Cosgrove, who played Megan, had some success in voiceover and was given her own series iCarly before dropping out of the acting world in 2015. Josh Peck starred in a few movies and TV shows here and there, but has only recently made a return to mainstream, appearing in the new Christopher Nolan film Oppenheimer. Drake has probably had the worst go of the crew. When the show was cancelled, his roles were limited to straight-to-video flicks and voiceovers starring as Spider-Man in the animated Ultimate Spider-Man series. The worst performance of all, though, was when Nickelodeon thought it would be a great idea to make a live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie, I actually remember this, starring Drake as Timmy Turner. Needless to say, his status as a celebrity was gone at that point, but the nail was driven into the coffin in 2021 when Drake was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service after it was revealed he'd been a young fan for years. So if you see him in an orange jumpsuit cleaning graffiti off the wall, you'll know why. Alright, Jamie Lynn Spears at her number 9 spot. Jamie starred as the title character Zoe in the hit series Zoe 101 alongside fellow entry on this list, Matthew Underwood. Her time on the show was well received and made many fans excited about what she may film next. When the show was eventually cancelled in 2008, Jamie was at the center of a massive media rumor. The theory was that Zoe 101 was abruptly cancelled due to Jamie becoming pregnant with her daughter. The reality was that never happened. Jamie did get pregnant, but it was 6 months after filming had wrapped on the series, so the show was cancelled by the executives at Nickelodeon. For some reason, they felt the show was done and needed to be replaced by something new and more fun. And Jamie actually did have plans to continue her career on the silver screen, but like we said, 6 months into looking for work, a new job opportunity opened up, and it would be the most challenging of all, the role of a mother. She decided to move back to Mississippi and gave up her career in film to raise her kid and be a star to, the household. Now, it's not all missed opportunities, however, as Jamie is still remembered fondly as a musician, releasing several songs before 2010, and has recently been popping up at several country and rock festivals to lend her voice to the crowd, and many fans will be happy to know that not only there will be a Zoe 101 flick released on Paramount Plus this fall, but it stars the entire original cast, and a trailer is already out for us to enjoy. Perfect. Alright, number 8, Jake Paul. Jake Paul looted them all. News headline or Dr. Seuss title, I don't know, that's right. The famous YouTuber Jake Paul was briefly a Disney star in the early 2010s, appearing on a short-lived sitcom called Bizaardvark, and in 2020, Paul was involved in a looting that took place in Scottsdale, Arizona. A riot broke out in a mall, literally surrounded by police helicopters with lights and sirens, and Jake's reaction had people scrambling for their phones and cameras, but video footage was released by Paul himself, showcasing the events of the night. People were smashing windows and taking everything in sight, and while Paul posted a statement on Twitter claiming he had nothing to do with the riots and they were exclusively kind of observers of the event. But the video did show Jake intervening with looters in the mall, and of course groups were recognizing him almost immediately. And thankfully, the authorities stepped in to make their move on Jake, who told his fans, "No cap, that's tear gas, bro." Okay. Thank you. However, that was just the situation Disney needed to kind of finally fire the guy, according to Disney, and his reckless public behavior was very well known to them at the time, and there had been plans in place to simply address the issue and learn, but the following events in Scottsdale, well, kind of had no choice to cut ties with the performer immediately. He was charged with criminal trespassing, and his defense for the Scottsdale event was that he was documenting it as a, quote, public service. If I videotape my friend stealing a Star Wars mug from Hot Topic, is that also a public service? I don't know. Alright, number 7, Mitchell Musso. Mitch played Hannah Montana's best friend, Oliver Oken, on the hit Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. When the show was coming to an end, he began dominating the Disney scene. He was cast to voice Jeremy in Phineas and Ferb, playing one of the Ritual Kings and Pair of Kings, and something called Hatching Pete, which I vaguely remember watching, but this one I'm pretty sure I've kind of repressed. Now, he seems to be on track to follow Demi Lovato as the next big thing to come from Disney, and people think that about Demi Lovato, right? Unfortunately, his career came to a screeching halt in 2011 when he was arrested in Burbank, California. He neglected to slow down after being directed to kind of do so by police and pull over. The report said the moment the window was rolled down, it was like a cloud of something just drop kicked them in the nostrils, and he blew a BAL of 0.8, which for those who don't know means he was kind of gone. He was also forced to participate in a adult juice educational program and charged with driving under the influence. Kind of standard, but needless to say, it doesn't really go with Disney's vibe. So he was recast on Pair of Kings. His prank show, it was canceled, and he was basically blacklisted from Disney entirely. He had also been attempting to start a music career, but that also just kind of nosedived into the toilet. Now, if you'd like to find Mitchell these days, just go download one of his old songs. You'll be the first to do in a while, and I'm sure he'll find you. Alright, at number 6 we have Orlando Brown. That's So Raven, another series considered to be a part of the golden years, also known as the early 2000s of Disney. It starred Raven Simone as the titular character who had the ability to briefly see the future via unprompted visions. Now, I swear every time I explain a plot to an old Disney show, I question who was on what when they were pitched. The show had a stellar supporting cast, including Raven's best friend Chelsea and Eddie, played by Annalise Vanderpool, and Orlando Brown. Orlando's time as Eddie was received well with audiences, and he quickly became a fan favorite for not only his comedic abilities, but dramatic ability as well. Now, after Raven wrapped up its final season, Orlando's career, it took a bit of a turn. Surprisingly, he was being cast as a small side character or secondary characters with minimal screen time, so he never really got a lead after the show. In 2022, he appeared on Dr. Phil's talk show and opened up about his struggles mentally and financially. He also shocked audiences with his new look, drenched in tattoos and sporting a pair of demon eye contacts. Now, unfortunately, it seems that Orlando has fallen victim to the darker side of Disney, and he was arrested for a misdemeanor as well after an altercation with his brother. Alright, number 5, Brenda Song. London Tipton. She was the daughter of the man behind the chains of Tipton hotels in the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Brenda Song accepted the role right as she was about to start college. Little did she know the character would consume her life for the next 6 years. She appeared as London on both Zack and Cody and its reboot sequel, The Sweet Life on Deck, for a total of 6 seasons following the show's cancellation in 2011. Brenda starred in a few smaller roles in films like The Social Network, as well as TV shows in like Scandal, New Girl, and Superstore. Now, Brenda, she's still active in the acting community, just in a smaller capacity, as she's traded in her Disney fame for family fortune, starting a family with her boyfriend and fellow child star Macaulay Culkin. Now, Richie Rich and London Tipton have a child together, and that's not a show, or not even a reality show. Brenda is slowly making her return to the mainstream as well. However, she has recently starred in a few Netflix and Hulu series, including the comedy series Dollface, where Brenda claims to have rediscovered her passion for acting. And here's hoping that inspires Disney to make another Wendy Wu movie, maybe? If you don't know Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, you need to look into that. Alright, number 4, Kel Mitchell. Welcome to Good Burger, home of Good Burger. Can I take your order? The sentence that always blasts into my skull when I talk about Kel Mitchell. Kel was another young buck to be cast on the hit show All That with Amanda Bynes and future best friend Kenan Thompson. Much like Amanda, Kel was asked to participate in a spin-off of All That, only this time a straight up sitcom rather than more of a sketch show. And the show, Kenan and Kel, starring Kel and Kenan Thompson, is one of my favorite that Disney Channel produced, and these two had incredible chemistry, and so good that Nickelodeon had a movie centered around them, Good Burger, that has actually aged pretty well, and his character never really took off after that, with him only appearing in that sitcom world and in a minimal capacity then. But his loss of fame was kind of self-inflicted as his career on screen slowed down. His family life has been nothing but up. He decided to stay at home and focused on building a relationship with his wife and rapper Asia Lee, and they are currently expecting a second child sometime this year. We're hoping hoping that when the kids are a little older, Kel can get some time off and maybe make a return to the acting world. Now, there was a rumor of a Good Burger 2 being in the works, so let's start that now. Hashtag Good Burger 2, make it a trend. All right, number 3, Josh Peck. Josh made up the second half of the series Drake and Josh alongside musician and bad boy Drake Bell. Josh got his start on the Amanda Bynes Show alongside Amanda Bynes, participating in several classic sketches before eventually moving on to his own sitcom that is still considered to be one of the best Nickelodeon shows ever produced. Josh's time on the show, it was wonderful. He delivered a zany, big-hearted kind of brother vibe that went really well with Drake's rock and roll, I need love on the inside kind of character. And following the cancellation of the show, Josh went on to star in several silver screen showings like the underrated comedy Drill Bit Taylor starring Owen Wilson and the reboot of Red Dawn from 2012 alongside Chris Hemsworth. His career dipped in quality following that performance though. Josh was starting to seem like another Nickelodeon kid who was growing up to be rambunctious and wild instead of taking his job seriously. He lended his voice though to several characters over the years, including various roles in the Ice Age films, but has mainly stuck to small TV roles or independent flicks, and he did maintain a following. However, as of a few years ago, he started posting TikToks as well. Those received millions of views, and recently Josh has popped up on the cast list of Christopher Nolan's upcoming historical drama Oppenheimer. Perhaps this will mark his return to the acting world if it's in a movie like that. Now, he may be on the road to Oscar territory. Alright, number 2, Amanda Bynes. Amanda, she got her lucky break on the Nickelodeon sketch series All That, essentially the Nickelodeon version of late night sketch show Saturday Night Live. It sported a stellar cast, including current SNL cast member Kenan Thompson, Drake Bell, and Lori Beth Denberg. Eventually, the producer decided to offer Amanda her own series. Her success only grew from there. The Amanda Bynes Show became one of Nickelodeon's most watched series, and she was picked up by several studios to star in non-Nickelodeon projects like She's the Man, Easy A, and Amanda took a hiatus, however, in 2013 following a very public breakdown. In 2018, she told fans exactly what caused this breakdown. Now, according to Amanda, she became addicted to the devil's lettuce at a young age. While it wasn't an addiction at first, with more roles came more pressure and a kind of way to cope, and this eventually led her to more drastic substances. She also believed that she wasn't pretty enough anymore to be in films, and she took Adderall as a way to help her stay thin. In 2013, Amanda posted a series of bizarre tweets where she seemed to be insulting almost everyone she could think of. She called the former president Barack Obama ugly, clearly referring a character from the Amanda Show, but still. She was arrested and placed under psychiatric hold as she was accused of several hit and run incidents and was officially charged with reckless endangerment and criminal possession of some interesting herbs and spices. Her parents then placed her under a conservatorship until 2022 when she stood in front of a judge, healthier and better than ever, ready to move on with her life. The judge then said, okay, Amanda is free to go. Good luck, Amanda, then. There's a million kids who grew up with you, and we've got your back. Alright, let's end things off with number 1, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who actually never really appeared in a sitcom or TV series. She got her start acting at just the age of 3, starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials for brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O. She got her big break when Disney cast her to play 2 roles in the classic Disney family comedy The Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly met at a summer camp and discovered their parents split up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get mom and dad back together, and it's delightful, one of my favorites. Her career, though, only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served 84 minutes in jail. Yep, minutes. Some people spend years in jail. Lindsay, she got a warning there. Until 2022, her career kind of came to an abrupt standstill, but she not only seems to be better mentally, she's also under contract with the streaming giant Netflix to release a few rom-com flicks over the next couple years. So maybe her and Adam Sandler will make a Netflix multiverse. Now, I don't know how I'd feel about that, but we'll see where it goes.
Number 10. Jim Carrey. Jim is considered to be one of the funniest men in human history. In 1995 alone, he had 3 blockbuster comedies make it big at the box office, with Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask. Now, as the years have gone by, his films were a roller coaster of genres. He slowly started moving into the realm of real with films like Yes Man and The Number 23, but that movie was really when people started to wonder if things were okay with Jim. And according to Jim himself, he was more than fine, he was learning. Jim has become a very introspective person as time has gone on, becoming more and more spiritual and sure of himself. He slowed down in the acting world and started painting, creating beautiful and disturbing pieces in his studio in New York, but the world of Hollywood was not letting him go so easy. Jim starred as Dr. Robotnik, aka Eggman, in the live-action Sonic movie that gave Jim the modern-day boost he needed to pop back into the mainstream. However, while being interviewed on the red carpet for Sonic 2, Jim explained that there were so many things over the years that he has been forced to ignore because of how busy he's been, joking that there was 25 years of Mystery Science Theater to catch up on. He goes on to say that his paintings will soon be available as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, which is a word I did not think would ever come out of Jim Carrey's mouth. In recent interviews, Jim has been pretty adamant about quitting the acting world very soon, so it's looking more and more like Sonic 2 may be his last film role. Number 9. Billie Eilish. Billie is one of the best musicians around right now. You show anyone a picture of her or play even 1 second of Bad Guy, instant answer is Billie Eilish. While Billie has been making music for a long time, she hasn't always enjoyed the fame that comes with it. In 2020, she revealed that the pressure started really kicking in around 2016, having to deal with many things that would make most adults crumble. She was still a teen at the time, and having a massive crowd gathering around you every time you step outside is not fun. In an interview with the LA Times, she explained that she hated going outside. Being recognized by anyone was panic-inducing. She just wanted to do normal teenage things without being spotted by paparazzi. She then explained that being locked in her home in 2020 really helped her reflect on the situation and grow as a person. It's understandable that pressure that young made her uncomfortable. Like, look how many child actors quit acting for the exact same reasons. That and a lot of DUIs. Number 8. Brad Pitt. In 2019, Brad sat down with Entertainment Tonight Canada to discuss the things that drive him to take the roles that he chooses. Pitt has been around since the mid-90s and has gone nowhere but up, up, and away! While he's not much of a franchise man, Pitt has been a busy bee starring in several blockbuster hits like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and so many more. Despite being a megastar, Brad has actually struggled with his fame over the years. He actually got very introspective in the interview, explaining that the struggle wasn't exactly with the glitz and glamour, but rather the distance that was growing between himself and everybody else. He says that as he got older, the people he surrounded himself with became more and more important to him. He goes on to say that his time working on set meant that he would not be able to enjoy the things that he wished to use his money for, like traveling the world. Even though he has filmed in some pretty luxurious locations, actors rarely get enough time to actually enjoy the scenery. It seems that Brad's been able to get over his gripes, and he now leaves time for himself between shoots to get a little groovy. Number 7. Daniel Radcliffe. Dan the man with the plan can play Peter Pan. Nailed it. Mr. Radcliffe, of course, rose to flame when he was just 12 years old, portraying the iconic magical misfit Harry Potter in the film series based on the novels by J.K. Rowling. Dan is one of the few child actors who continued to work following the end of their franchise, being in every genre imaginable, from dramatic art pieces like Swiss Army Man to the action thriller Guns Akimbo to the horror flick Woman in Black. Dan proved that he was more than a scar and some glasses. Of course, starting to be such a big name at such a young age had a massive effect on Dan. Growing up in one of the most profitable franchises of all time, he would make regular appearances at conventions and in studios. Apparently, he faced a lot of hate from some fans who would actually boo him when he would walk on stage, something he claims to have been long-lasting and anxiety fuel. Thankfully, the harsh words never stopped him from doing what he loved, appearing in 8 Harry Potter movies before morphing into the Hollywood A-lister that he is today. Number 6. Kylie Jenner. Kylie is one of the younger members of the Kardashian clan. Being rich and famous at such a young age has dramatically impacted her day to day. In an interview from 2015, Jenner said that she woke up every morning with the worst anxiety, claiming to launch out of bed around 7 or 8 because she is nervous that there will be a negative article waiting for her to deal with. The fear is warranted, as over the years her name has been on the front page of media outlets a few times for various scandals and rumors. Unfortunately, most of the things that have been revealed have been proven to be true, like the mistreatment of employees at her cosmetic factory or the fact that she lied to Forbes magazine about how rich she was, so kinda hard to feel bad for Kylie on this one. Number 5. Megan Fox. One of 2 Transformers alumni that will pop up on this list, Megan Fox is one of the few people that hated acting so much that they did eventually retire. Megan was of course the hottest woman in Hollywood in the mid-2000s, but following her departure from the Transformers franchise, things started to take a turn. She was being casted in less and less, seemingly due to her bashing Hollywood any chance that she had. The reason she was let go from Transformers was because she referred to Michael Bay as a former leader of Germany whose name rhymes with Schmittler. Between 2012 and 2023, Megan only starred in one franchise, and that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live-action series. So bad it was remade into an animated feature this year that made millions. Megan actually called out Hollywood a lot in the past, claiming the process behind developing a film and casting a project was disgusting. She felt like an object many times in her career, and rightfully so. Every shot of Megan during the day in Transformers looks like an Axe body spray commercial. While she is adamant that she absolutely hates being famous, she seems to be appearing in movies again, so I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe Hollywood likes it when their actor teases them, gives them a little tingle downstairs, a little kinky. Number 4. George Clooney. George was a massive star in Hollywood, being deemed a Hollywood heartthrob thanks to his work on the hit TV series ER. Over the years, Clooney's career has been filled with many hits like Ocean's 11, as well as a brief stint as Batman in 1997 that I will never let him live down. In recent years, things have slowed down drastically for the heartthrob, being casted in less and less roles the closer we got to 2023. His last 2 roles were in The Flash and Ticket to Paradise with Julia Roberts, both of which received terrible box office returns. This may have something to do with George believing that Hollywood is an extremely toxic place. In an interview with IndieWire, Clooney said that fame can be very dangerous. While he has maintained a rather humble approach to life, that wasn't always the case. George recounted how early in his career he enjoyed the sneaky nature of the press. He liked the fame being delivered to him on a daily basis, and it eventually messed with his mental health. Over the years, he's tried to separate himself from his projects once they wrapped up. These days, he spends a lot of time away from the spotlight and instead being a full-time human just trying to exist. Number 3. Shia LaBeouf. Shia is an interesting man. For a long time, he was Hollywood's go-to funny guy to throw into movies and TV shows, but since 2015, he's existed in this weird space between superstar and super jerk. Over the years, many situations involving Shia, including everything from shoving a dude to mistreating his ex, have been brought to light. This was part of the reason that he slowly started being casted in less and less projects, with his last big franchise being the 3rd Transformers movie. Since then, he's had a slew of indie and passion projects, but according to Shia himself, the entire idea of Hollywood is, quote, soul-crushing. During a Q&A at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2015, he claimed that there was little to no inclusivity in the industry, that he was a product for the studio to sell. He went off into a bit of a tangent that I won't quote fully because it will cause headaches. But to summarize in English that we can understand, Shia hated being famous for being someone's puppet and not for his own creative material. As we know, Shia never actually retired from acting, but following this revelation, he has appeared in far more independent projects, which means he's given almost complete creative control as showcased in the 2019 award-winning film Honey Boy, loosely based on his own life. Number 2. Robert Pattinson. Robert rose to fame thanks to playing the sparkling man with the plan Edward Cullen in the live-action Twilight series. While many are under the impression that being a part of such an iconic role would be a game-changer for most, for Robert, it was more of a waking nightmare. Sitting down for an interview in 2015, Rob gets real about the insanity that followed the release of Twilight. As one would expect, he was bombarded by fans in the streets constantly, and people were literally sitting outside of his house waiting for him to emerge, driving him crazy. He didn't go into supermarkets in person for 6 years, but these days he can actually exist in public since the Twilight stuff's kinda died down. He was honest in the interview and expressed that he is one of the most uncomfortable people in his normal life, and that it took him a very long time to reach the level of comfort that he has now. All that fame of being an actor has little impact on him these days, as he's become a much more serious actor with films like The Batman and Tenet under his belt. Thankfully, the whole Twilight thing is over and done, but there is a prequel to The Hunger Games on its way in a couple months, so Twilight prequel? Anyone? Huh? You? Yes. Number 1. Gigi Hadid. The Hadid modeling empire is strong, with Gigi being one of 2 Hadids roaming the runways of Paris. Despite coming from a wealthy family and living one of the most lavish lifestyles around, Gigi actually hates everything about it. According to herself, being busy for such long periods of times means that she isn't able to make time for the people who care about her in her life. She has lost a lot of friends over the years simply by being unavailable and everyone drifting apart. Now, this is a fair reason to hate your fame, but at the same time, if your friends can't respect that you're across the world modeling Chanel and Louis Vuitton, they don't deserve to be your friends. Besides, I've seen Gigi's Coca-Cola ad and she said she loves doing game night with her friends all the time. You gonna tell me that was a lie?
At number 10, Billie Eilish. In recent years, singer Billie Eilish has had a lot of success come her way. After rising to fame in 2015 with her song Ocean Eyes, Billie has since grown to become an award-winning artist, winning multiple Grammy Awards, AMAs, MTV Europe Music Awards, Brit Awards, MTV Video Music Awards, and an NRJ Music Award. But with all that fame comes a lot of pressure, and because she's gained massive fame at such a young age, Billie has struggled with it, even regretting her fame at times. Back in 2019, Billie did an interview where she talked about her life in the public eye and how her career and fame has affected her life, and she spoke out about how there wasn't much in the world that brought her peace, saying that though her life is fun and exciting, she doesn't have much sense of calm in her life. When asked about her sudden rise to fame, Billie spoke out about how her fame has had such a huge impact on her childhood, where she said, quote, "I don't mean this in a necessarily negative way, but I sort of lost my teenage years because this all started when I was 13. There's no training, there's no let me go to a school that's going to teach me how to be famous," end quote. It was almost like she was thrown into the deep end before learning how to swim, and she spent the majority of her teen years navigating herself through all of that, which must have been tough for someone so young to do. She's grown up in front of the prying eyes of Hollywood, and that would freak anyone out. At number 9, FKA Twigs. Singer FKA Twigs has experienced the highs and lows of fame. She rose to fame through her music, but many people know her for her high-profile relationships that she's been in. The singer was previously in a relationship with actor Shia LaBeouf, and she was in the news recently after she filed a lawsuit against the actor, alleging that he hurt her several times throughout the relationship. But before this high-profile relationship, she was dating Twilight star Robert Pattinson, and this relationship caused her to gain widespread attention. Because Robert has such a huge following, some of the attention from Robert rubbed off on Twigs, and a lot of the attention she received was negative. In an interview in 2015, the singer spoke out about her experience with fame in regards to her relationship, and she said that she was struggling with the public's perception of her. As soon as they went public with their relationship, Twigs found herself under a spotlight that she wasn't ready for, and when speaking on this, she said, quote, "It's really hard. I can't begin to explain how awful it is. It makes you want to just stop everything sometimes. It makes you want to smash your face into the mirror," end quote. Though she was struggling with the public eye, she did say, however, that it was worth it because she loved Robert so much. Before we carry on talking about the celebrities who hate being famous, why not take a quick moment to leave a like on this video to show your support, and while you're at it, maybe subscribe to the channel as well to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga has always been pretty open with her fans about her life and her struggles. She's an open book when it comes to many aspects of her everyday life, and that includes her career and the fame that comes with it. During an interview with CBS Sunday Morning back in 2016, Gaga spoke out about how her fame has impacted her life, and though she is grateful for the life it's given her, there are a few negative aspects of fame that she isn't a fan of. During the interview, the singer vocalized how being famous impacts your privacy, where she said, quote, "I'm very acutely aware that once I cross that property line, I'm not free anymore. As soon as I go out into the world, I belong in a way to everyone else. It's legal to follow me. It's legal to stalk me at the beach. I can't call the police or ask them to leave," end quote. On top of her concerns about her privacy, Gaga has also vocalized how her fame has taken away the freedom to just spark up a normal conversation with someone. The singer said that she missed being able to have conversations with people, as she said, quote, "I miss people. I miss, going anywhere and meeting a random person and saying hi and having a conversation about life. I love people," end quote. At number 7, Gigi Hadid. A lot of people think that being a celebrity would grant you all of these amazing perks, and you would have so many friends because of it, but apparently that's not exactly true, and being a celebrity can actually be a pretty isolating experience. At least that's what supermodel Gigi Hadid has said in regards to fame. During a 2019 interview with Elle magazine, Gigi said that because of her work, she's lost a lot of friends. Speaking on this, Gigi said, quote, "I've lost a lot of friends because I'll get busy for a short period of time and they're not reaching out, but if I don't reach out, then it's like I've changed." She said that because her work is so demanding, a lot of people don't understand how taxing it can really be, and so when she disappears for work for a little while, some people just don't wait for her to return and just move on. To further explain her struggles with keeping her social and work life in check, Gigi said, quote, "There are people who understand that I love them and know that when I get back to town I'm going to call them, but sometimes I can't call every day because I'm in weird places. Because a lot of the time I feel suffocated by my own work ethic and by the expectations I put on myself. It's really nice when you have people who say, it's okay, take time for yourself." End quote. At number 6, Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner is no stranger to the paparazzi. After the rise of sister Kim Kardashian in the media, a new spotlight began shining on the Kardashian-Jenner family. In 2007, taping of the reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians began, and Kylie was only 10 years old at the time. Having cameras around you 24/7 and growing up with the spotlight on you like that must be incredibly difficult to manage. Kylie, having grown up so publicly, has since shown her distaste for fame. She's vocalized her anxiety when it comes to the press, saying that she wakes up every morning feeling anxious because she thinks that a bad story is going to come out about her. She's been living with such paranoia for years, and it's really not fair that she was thrown into this lifestyle and just had to learn how to navigate it at such a young age. She became famous just because she was related to someone famous. She never really asked to have the spotlight put on her, but that's just something that she has to deal with on a daily basis. Kylie even hid from the world for months during her first pregnancy because she wanted to experience her pregnancy without the world watching. Seems to me that Kylie just wants to be a normal person. At number 5, Zayn Malik. Known for his iconic part in the former boy band One Direction, Zayn was known to have his fair share of grievances when it came to his fame. After leaving the group in 2015, Zayn went on to tell sources that he came to the realization that he just didn't want to be famous, and that he's lost a lot of people close to him because of his place in Hollywood. Zayn really just didn't like living in the public eye, and so he quit his job over it. Although Zayn decided to begin a solo career, many seem to believe that even that was too much for the singer. After the release of Pillow Talk, Zayn followed up with a number of cancelled appearances and performances, leading people to believe that he is still not up for the spotlight just yet. At number 4, Carrie Henn. Starting a career in Hollywood at a young age doesn't seem like it would be very easy. For a lot of former child stars, they say that they regret getting into the industry when they were so young because it made growing up very difficult for them. Though some stick around in the industry for the long haul, many others quit early on, and this is what happened to actress Carrie Henn. Carrie was cast as Newt in the movie Aliens, but after filming it, she decided that she couldn't handle the pressures of Hollywood anymore. Years after the hit film came out, Carrie did an interview to catch fans up to speed on what she's been doing and why they left Hollywood, where she said that she just didn't want to be away from her family. Carrie eventually got into the field of education and occasionally signs copies of the movie for her students, which is pretty cool. At number 3, Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway has been so successful in the film industry, starring in all sorts of different films, from The Devil Wears Prada to Les Miserables, but in a 2014 interview, Anne admitted that fame has really affected her for a long time. She opened up about her struggle balancing her life with the widespread fame that she was gaining, where she said, quote, "I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to engage with it. It stressed me out. And people would say, you just have to be yourself. And I was like, but I don't know who that is yet." End quote. The actress also spoke out about the criticisms that she was facing after her Oscars win for her role in Les Mis, which caused her to take a break from Hollywood. Speaking on this, Anne said, quote, "My impression is that people needed a break from me." End quote. Acting is just her job, and fame is just a side effect of what she does for a living, adding to the pressures of her craft. At number 2, Amanda Bynes. Former child actor Amanda Bynes grew up in the spotlight, and between the pressure of having grown up a celebrity combined with her public breakdown, it's no wonder that she decided to leave the industry after her fame became too much to handle. In the past, Amanda has spoken out about the times that she felt anxious about her Hollywood career, but in an interview with Paper Magazine, she opened up about the very moment that she decided to quit acting altogether, and this was after she watched her performance in the movie Easy A. Amanda told the publication, quote, "I literally couldn't stand my performance in that movie. I didn't like my performance. I was absolutely convinced that I needed to stop acting after seeing it. I was high when I saw it, but for some reason it started to really affect me. I don't know if it was a substance-induced psychosis or what, but it affected my brain in a different way than it affects other people. It absolutely changed my perspective of things." End quote. After making the decision to retire from acting, Amanda took to Twitter to tell the public about her plans to leave Hollywood. Although she says that she hopes to one day return to acting, she's also content with living her simpler life away from Hollywood. There was just too much pressure from Hollywood and having all eyes on her, so she had to leave it all behind to feel better about herself again. And finally, at number 1, Jack Gleeson. After gaining fame from starring as Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones, actor Jack Gleeson decided to take a step back from acting and leave Hollywood. Though he was grateful Grateful for the experience of being a part of such a huge show like Game of Thrones, Jack told sources that the large amount of fame that comes with the job just wasn't something that thrilled him. Going in depth about his thoughts on his place in the public eye, he told sources, quote, "It was always a recreation beforehand, but when I started doing Game of Thrones, perhaps the reality was made too real for me. The lifestyle that comes with being an actor in a successful TV show isn't something I gravitate towards." End quote. Jack even made the point to not watch his own performances on TV because of how maniacal his character was, as he said, quote, "You tend to abstract yourself from the creepiness of it when you're playing it, but when you see it on television, it sends shivers down my spine." End quote. Since leaving the industry, Jack has gone to college and has a goal of helping relief efforts for those in Haiti who are affected by the 2010 earthquake.
Number 10, Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes first got us cracking laughing when she starred in the Nickelodeon series All That, which was the Saturday Night Live style kids show featuring various actors in sketches that honestly held up very well to this day. Eventually, she was cast to star in her own sketch series named after herself, featuring former All That co-stars and newbies like Josh Peck, Drake Bell, and Taran Killam. Amanda moved from Nickelodeon to the silver screen with massive success, starring in comedy hits like She's the Man, Easy A, and Hairspray. Her career seemed to be skyrocketing, which is why it was so strange when, in 2013, she announced on Twitter that she'd be taking a break from acting to focus on herself, claiming that being a celebrity just wasn't all it was cracked up to be. But it turns out that was not the case. You see, around the same time, she had been arrested for a DUI and was dealing with some serious legal drama. And it seems that, much like many on this list, Amanda blew off some steam by just tweeting about all the people she hated. She called out everyone from Canadian treasure and rapper Drake to the president at the time, Barack Obama, and his wife Michelle. She called people ugly, talentless, and she just kinda posted rant after rant with seemingly no reason. The rant, combined with her reputation, caused her career to instantly be cancelled. She was pulled from studio projects and has since spent her time trying to work on her mental health. Number 9, Will Smith. Alright, you guys all know this one by now. In 2022, Chris Rock was hosting the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Immediately following the joke, Rock stood in confusion as Will Smith made his way to the stage. He adjusted his jacket, took a firm, strong stance, and just smacked him right across the face. Initially, this was seen as a planned joke between the two, but Will then began shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his flippin' mouth. Well, I didn't say flippin', but internet rules. Chris handled the situation. He kept his cool, he laughed it off for the cameras, and he brought out the next award presenter. Unfortunately, an hour later, Will Smith won the Oscar for Best Actor in a lead because he played Richard Williams, who is the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams. During the speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming that the whole thing was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. But the world just watched Will Smith smack one of their favorite human beings live on the air, so you can imagine his career suffered a little bit. He has yet to make any new movies or star in anything other than his wife's talk show, which is also cancelled too, so there you go. Number 8, Lizzo. It was recently revealed that a lawsuit has been filed against the famous pop singer Lizzo, accusing her of creating a toxic work environment and mistreating her background dancers. The accusations range from fat-shaming her crew to forcing them to eat strange fruit from strange places. One of the dancers, Crystal Davies, who is a part of the lawsuit, was fired for secretly recording a meeting between herself and Lizzo. The meeting was about the dancer's performance on stage recently and Lizzo's apparent dislike of the weight that she had been gaining, claiming that she wasn't committing to her role. According to the plaintiffs, Lizzo made them work ridiculous hours, including up to 12-hour rehearsal days, and one of the dancers recounted an experience of having to use the washroom and being forced to do it in her pants while rehearsing. So she didn't lose any time. Like, come on, Lizzo, if someone has to use the bathroom, let them go. It probably took longer to get that lady a new change of clothes than it would have taken her to just, take 5. When the news broke, the world collectively turned on Lizzo and believed every single word that these women were saying. Now, while Lizzo continues to deny the allegations, her career gets worse and worse. Several of her live stage shows have been cancelled, her music's been pulled from radio stations, and there is an investigation taking place, so not good for Liz. Number 7, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay stole our hearts in her Disney days, starring in movies like The Parent Trap and Get a Clue, and her career only seemed to be rising from there, being in several cult classics like Freaky Friday and Mean Girls as the main character Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a bit of a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she only served 84 minutes in jail. Yep, that's it, just 84 minutes. Despite this, the jail stint was enough to have her career ended in an instant. Any and all projects that had her name attached were rewritten or canned entirely, so no Herbie sequel for us. She then spent the next few years trying to scrape together something to keep her career going, starring in low-budget horror movies like The Canyons or the comedy movies like Scary Movie 5, and I do mean comedy loosely. Not only was her acting poorly received, but the stunt had pegged her as a difficult and unpredictable person, so no work for Lindsay. She made a recent comeback to the acting world in a significant role in a Netflix movie though, so here's hoping there might still be some hope for Lindsay. Number 6. Britney Spears. In 2007, aka Britney's meltdown year, she famously posted a video of herself holding clippers in a barber's chair, missing, like, most of her hair. The person who cut her hair kept it and quickly attempted to auction it off for $1 million, which sounds crazy, but you know, there's some weirdos out there who call that a bargain. Following the shaving, she made her way to a tattoo parlor where the artist asked her what had happened to her face. After being swarmed by photographers at a gas station in LA, she went on a rampage wielding an umbrella and swinging it over and over again at one of the cars, attempting to smash their windows. In fact, she also hurled expletives at anyone and everyone who had cameras, eventually launching her umbrella towards the crowd. This was the main incident that landed her in a psychiatric hold. The entire night was captured by multiple people, and the moment that the photos were released onto the world, her career was over. A court ruled in 2007 that she was unfit to control her own finances and granted that power instead to her father, who was a no-no juice enthusiast with a sweet tooth for expensive things. Thankfully, that has since ended, and Britney seems just a little bit better than she once was. Number 5. Winona Ryder. These days, Winona is known as the mom from Stranger Things, but back in the day she was a rising star in the world of Hollywood, starring in several classic flicks over the years like Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. But in 2001 she did something that tarnished her career for almost 18 years. Winona was out and about one day shopping at a posh store in Beverly Hills. Ooh, look at me, I'm getting so many fancy things. Video footage from that day shows Winona slowly gathering a pile of items, like literally wearing one of the hats that she's gonna steal. Thinking that she had pulled off the heist of the century, she began to walk out of the door when the manager stopped her, but noticing the massive pile of stuff in her hands that she most certainly did not pay for. She swiped over $5,000 worth of clothing, so I guess those Beetlejuice checks just ran out real fast. She was charged with felony grand theft and possession of a pharmaceutical, apparently holding some illegal antidepressants that many think might have had something to do with the situation. The moment the footage hit the news cycle, her career was over. She had already finished filming Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler, which ended up being one of her last big roles, until stepping back into the spotlight in season 1 of the hit Netflix series, Stranger Things.